It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
The United States of America is projected to add 1.5 million illegal aliens to the population this year. This is from Breitbart.com. John Binder. Projected to add 1.5 million illegal aliens to the American population by the end of the year should current rates of catch and release border crossings and visa overstays pan out. That is a gargantuan amount of people, and it's only getting worse. Here to talk more about this, we have the director of the Remembrance Project, which honors and remembers Americans and legal residents who have been killed by illegal aliens. Maria Espinoza is back with us. Maria, how are you?
I'm doing well, Paul. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So is this ever going to stop? Is the catch and release policy ever going to stop, where people are saying the magic words, literally, so that they can get a court date and then they never show up?
Well, I certainly hope so. Over 95% of those who claim asylum here are fraudulent. So then we bring them into the interior, and we let them into our communities, and then we have to round them up. And they don't appear for the court date. It is insane. And again, I point back to the failed leadership of former Speaker Paul Ryan. We had the House, we had the Senate, and America First president, and here they did nothing. They sat on their hands for the last 2 years, and this is a result.
Yeah, this is the result. Of course, it's... How do you feel about the people that are out there saying that the border is not as serious as the president makes it out to be? I mean, I personally think it is, but I mean, there still is this. What do we need to do to get over that gap to convince people that? I mean, this has been a problem for decades, and it just hasn't been given the attention. So the American people think it's all contrived, or not all of them, but some of them do.
Right. Well, the Remembrance Project was created 10 years ago, so I've been at this for 10 years, Paul. And, all we were asking for and continue to ask for is for our laws to be enforced, to place the safety of Americans first, and to secure the borders as it, is owed to us in our Constitution. But yet, the government doesn't seem to want to do this, and this is not just the government, it's the people that we're electing. So we have to be more, concerned about those candidates who the establishment might be putting up, Paul, and be able to bring in our America First candidates. Just like Donald Trump, he put this country first, and that's what we need to gather, recruit, identify those, and support those in every way to run for Congress and run actually for every level of government, so that we come back to taking care of American families first. My goodness, we have enough of orphans, 500,000 orphans, American children who need adopting and to go to good homes and have a better life themselves. We have 13 million children who go to bed hungry. They live in poverty. And we have our vets that are not being taken care of. And here we're allowing our country to be invaded, and that's what it is. It's an invasion. And to eat up our resources, commit these chaos within our communities and commit crimes. Mm-hmm. So this is out of hand, but I think the key is to continue spreading the information and recruiting those, point them in the direction. You mentioned Breitbart, an article in Breitbart. There are good outlets out there that are telling the truth. So we certainly have to wake up people, and I'm glad to see that the Latino community is waking up. My goodness, now President Trump is enjoying at least 19 points within that Latino population in favor of his policies.
Yeah, he that is a good sign. Also, certainly, I think historic approval, African American approval as well. We're talking with Maria Espinoza again. She's the national director of the Remembrance Project. I'm wondering, Maria, do you think the Congress has a chance of going back to the the Republican side, and could that aid, assuming that President Trump wins a second term, trying to tackle this issue, at a later date? I know it continues to get worse, but a lot of those districts where the Democrats won to swing the power to the control of the Democrats of the House, they were moderate. They weren't these Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez districts. They were more moderate. So what do you think the chances are?
I certainly I haven't really looked at that closely, Paul, but I think that this is a good sign when we have more Latinos on board. And I've also spoken with a family member up in California where he lives in a highly Hispanic community, and there are illegals there as well. It's closer to the border, but he's talking about that the legal Hispanics are all on board now. There's a difference, he says, with this president. So I think as the information seeps into the communities and this crisis worsens, and they see how hard that President Trump is trying to work with the Democrats as well. They keep refusing anything that he puts together, any packages and policies that he puts together, and they refuse that. And it's a sign that they want complete open borders. They can see the craziness in AOC and Cortez and the rest of the new freshman congressmen. So I think they've probably done a pretty good job as well in bringing people back to their senses.
And then you got crazy Bernie out there talking about how felons, rapists, and murderers need to have the right to vote. It's ridiculous. We haven't talked to you in a while, Maria. So here in my state of Arkansas, we recently passed one of the positive things that came out of our recent session was a sanctuary city law where we can now defund cities. The state can defund cities if they adopt sanctuary policies. There's no city in Arkansas that has, but a lot of people were thinking Little Rock was kind of going down that path. And so that was definitely a positive sign, and that was happening, I guess, a couple of days before you had this potential solution that was leaked or whatever the case may be, where Donald Trump was thinking about, or the Homeland Security was thinking about, busing a lot of these migrants to sanctuary cities and just dropping them off and saying, hey, you guys say you wanted them, so here you go. What did you think about that?
I love that. I know some people were not for that, but I love that because they asked for them. They said, all are welcome here. Come here, we'll protect them. They set up a slush fund to help these illegal aliens. In my opinion, if they're coming here, Paul, with the fraudulent claim of asylum, then they're illegally in the country. They just haven't been exposed, and we're being quite naive if we think that all of these people are seeking asylum. And you take a look at them. I mean, they're carrying iPhones. They look like they haven't missed a meal, some of them, and they're wearing Nike shoes. I don't even have that. So I love the fact that President Trump is giving them what they wanted. As you know, that New York City Mayor de Blasio threatened to sue the government if that took place. So I love it. I mean, they get a taste of their own medicine, of the policies that they expect us, the rest of us, to live by, and they're pushing their far-left agenda policies, which is very wrong.
It certainly is. What do you think it would take to stop the catch and release program? Obviously, I think there's a lot of people legally that say, no, you've got to continue to allow them to apply for asylum if they say those magic words that they're told to say. But, somebody told me that there's maybe a plan to just set up massive tent cities and not allow them to be released.
Yes, I agree with that as well. I think they should do that and not bring them into the interior. We have to go back and round them up, and here, do not bring them into the interior where they can come into our communities and cause harm and commit other crimes. So those loopholes have to be closed. We have to demand that in the future they can only go through that process, not come up to the border anywhere and say, take me to your station, and I have credible fear, and here we bring them in and wait, 2, 3, 4, 5 years now. I think where the time is now has increased because there's so many cases until their court date is, until a court date arrives. But yes, there are so many things that we can do. Not give them benefits, number one. Not hire them. They're not supposed to be, illegal aliens are not supposed to be working here. And we have to mandate E-Verify all across the nation, but also ought to include those contractors, subcontractors, because that's how these illegal aliens are being hired. The IRS is giving illegal aliens ITIN numbers, the individual tax identification numbers, and by which they use to run a business. So there are things that we certainly can do that we're not doing. We just don't have the will in Congress to make that happen.
I recently, Maria, sat down and got to interview an angel dad, Steve Ronnebeck. He told me about his son, what happened in a convenience store. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. And so I want to, before we go, I want to make sure we highlight what the Remembrance Project is doing. And you guys are bringing to light what people don't want to admit, really, especially on the left, that these are preventable deaths. If we were able to control who was coming into this country, like a nation is supposed to do, then we have a lot of Americans that would be alive today.
Exactly. And we don't have that list either. Oh, my husband, Tim Lee, and I started the Remembrance Project 10 years ago, Paul. This is outrageous that we're still in business, but thank God that we are. And we brought the angel moms and dads and family members to then-candidate Donald Trump in 2015. So we've been working very hard to raise awareness and educate. We have webinars for our families, webinars for our chapter leaders and surrogates, conference calls. Also, we have developed a CRM database because we realized after meeting with former Attorney General Jeff Sessions 2 years ago almost, we asked for these statistics of how many Americans were killed by illegal aliens, and AG Sessions said that it's impossible to obtain those statistics because the municipalities do not work with the federal government. As you can see, their sanctuary policies. President Trump also, as a promise to me and my organization, created the Office of Voice, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement, to assist the families in finding out where this illegal alien is, the hearings, the detention centers. But, we want that office to do more because it was very key in the letter that I sent to Donald Trump that there be an office to set up to assist the families navigate through the court system because, in my opinion, we already saw the fact that these far-left judges, as you saw, the Massachusetts judge who assisted in the illegal alien escape,
yes,
he was just charged.
Saw that.
There's an Oregon judge, and that's fantastic. That is what should have been happening all along. Indicting those, charging those who aid and abet an illegal alien, and mayors, unfortunately, elected officials have administrative immunity, and that's outrageous when they're breaking our laws. And hopefully, DOJ will go after the Oregon judge who did the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is what we do. We honor and remember Americans who've been killed by illegal aliens, and we do that on our Stolen Lives Quilt banners, which you saw on stage with Donald Trump, and the mothers and fathers wearing the photos of the images of their loved ones on their T-shirts. And so we just want people to make aware of what's going on when laws are not enforced and borders not secured and Americans are not placed first and foremost in the hearts and minds of these elected officials.
Maria Espinoza, the director of the Remembrance Project. Go to theremembrance.org, folks, for more information. Maria, it's always great to have you on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul. God bless you, and have a great day.
You too. Have a great day. Folks, one thing we didn't talk about, people on the Facebook page, the wall, build the wall, build the wall. Somebody writes, if the wall is built, the Democrat Party will never win another election again. You believe that? A lot of people think there's massive voter fraud going on. You say, well, you have no proof that there's massive voter fraud going on. Well, you don't know what you don't know, just like we don't really know how many people are coming across the border where there's no wall. Well, most of those drugs are seized at the ports of entry. Well, that's preposterous. Yeah, we have people there that are monitoring and taking records. We don't have people taking records of how much fentanyl is coming across the parts without a fence.
Yeah, 90% of it's being contacted.
Yeah, the ones that we know about. So it's the same thing with voter fraud, in my opinion. And anyway, I mean, if you're a state and you've issued a driver's license to an illegal alien, can we at least admit that the probability that they're going to be allowed to vote is increased a little bit?